Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's card was a card I made for a friend and it took forever. To start with, I have a slimline die set. I have a whole bunch of stamp sets. I will have them all linked below. Well, I don't know. Am I going to go through the process of linking 20 stamp sets and all the other things? I'll try for you guys, but we'll have to see. So all of these stamp sets that I'm showing you, I would list them all off as I show you, but I don't have the list in front of me, and that's a lot. I'm using, for most of these, like one, maybe two pieces. So this is a whole scene card with a lot of masking. I don't enjoy cutting masks. I do enjoy a one-layer card that is a full scene with all the things. So I did this one. Like I said, this was for a friend's birthday. Her birthday is not just yet. I think I will try to have this video go live on her birthday. Hopefully she gets her card by then. Or this might be a spoiler. I don't know if she ever watches any of my videos. So yes, as you can see, I'm 1 minute and 13 seconds in, and I'm still showing you stamp sets because I'm insane. I did stamp and cut all of my masks off screen. Alright, so to figure all of this stuff out, I have all my masks laid out onto a card base that is the exact same size and everything that I will be using. I also have a thin copy paper that I have cut out with that same die so that I would know the exact placement for my card each time. So if you've never done masks before, when you lay them out, whatever is on the very top is the thing you want to stamp first. Now here, I am being so stupid. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I'm really trying to line this little circle, oval, whatever, oval mask so that I don't have the center of this marshmallow bag stamped. And then I realized, duh, if I flip it over the other direction where the stamp is now on the bottom and I can lay the mask down, I can then flip it back over and the mask will stick to the paper in the exact spot I need. So I don't know why it took me that long to figure it out, but yeah, hopefully I explained that well. If you watched me struggle, I cut out a lot of my struggling. This video was over 2 hours, you guys. So the fact that I got it down to like just under 20 minutes, I had to cut out a lot. I had to speed up a lot. But anyway, I'm continuing on with all of the masking and everything. And at one point, I mess up. So if you had seen that, that was me stamping something where I didn't put a mask down. I forgot to. So it stamped out weird. So I did have to start that over. Thankfully, it was still pretty early in the process. For my little counters that I'm using, they're actually just part of my oven. And I lazy masked that one. I just used some Post-it notes because I cut out so many masks, you guys. It was ridiculous. So as I continue to stamp everything, because I did leave that in, just to show you, this was pretty labor intensive. It was a labor of love, really, but that was a lot of work. I will talk about what this card is. Now, it is a birthday card for a friend. This friend loves Harry Potter, and I decided that I wanted to make honeydukes from Harry Potter. So I have went through all of my stamp sets, which is why it was 20 stamp sets or whatever it was. It was a ridiculous amount. And I have found all the little sweet treats in different containers I could put them in. So if you know anything about the books or movies, you will recognize some of these things. So you see me stamp the frogs. Those are the chocolate frogs. I have the little apple pies I decided I would make into the little, I don't know exactly how you pronounce it. Is it pumpkin pasty, pumpkin something like that? I don't know if some of it's just accent or if that's actually how it's said. So forgive my ignorance. And then I also have in that large cookie jar to the right, it's actually bees. And I had kind of looked up some of the candies they have available at, I don't know if it's Universal Studios or whatever, at their Harry Potter theme park or whatever you want to call it. I'm just sounding really stupid right now. It's too early. It's too early. I do a lot of my voiceovers very early just because it's quieter and Hopefully the children are asleep at this point. One's actually awake, but anyway, he's being quiet. But anyway, they have the Fizzing Whizbees, and in those, the candy actually looked like little bees. So I was super excited because I had little bees. And then I have these little potion bottles up here, which I know doesn't make sense for these candies to be in a bottle with such a tiny neck, but it's magic, so just accept it. As you can see, I'm using several different types of masks here. Some of them I have cut around an image so that I did not stamp outside of like a bottle or a container. Then I have the little candy masks and everything so that I can stamp multiple layers of the candies to make it look like the containers are full. Like I said, this was very tedious. This was a lot of masks. I ended up losing some of them, had to cut some more of them. I almost messed up there. If you didn't catch that with that candy bar, I almost stamped a candy bar over a candy bar, which would have gave me weird double lines, and I would have been irritated because I would have had to start the whole card over. So I made masks to cover like the word cookies on the cookie jar because I wanted them to be clear jars, not cookie jars. And for my little jam jars, I did not want the frills up there, so I did mask off the center portion of that. I tried to think of ways to get rid of the very ends of the frills too, and then I just opted for leaving them and just turning it into another part of the lid. Now I guess I'll probably just be quiet for a few minutes because I don't have a whole lot to say about this, other than I'm just repeating the process over and over again for the various elements until I have filled up my entire scene. For my witch, I did decide that I did not like the bottom of her dress. It looked too costumey. I wanted it to look more like a robe or whatever. So I did mask off the bottom part with just a post-it note so that I could make it straight down instead of the little zigzag frayed edges. Oh yeah, I had forgotten. I did add the jelly bean stamp to each of the little bags. And then I took one of the jelly bean stamps from, this was what, Extra Special Easter, I think. And I stamped the jelly beans on the inside of each of the jelly bean shapes. This was one of those moments where I was like super excited because it actually looked like the jelly bean cutout with the jelly beans on the inside. And I don't know, little things like that, they just make me so happy watching it all come together. All right, next, after I have all the masks on everything, I'm using Lost Shadow Distress Oxide as well as my brick stencil. I'm masking off just a small portion of where I want the floor to be, and then I'm going to ink up the bricks with the Lost Shadow ink. Also, you'll notice I have that rectangle there of masking paper, and that's just going to be for my sentiment. Moving on to the floor, I have my honeycomb stencil and some chipped sapphire distress oxide. I did cover up every other of the little honeycomb pattern just so that the floor was multiple colors, not just one. And then I decided I would go in with my Copic fine liner at this point. Not Copic fine liner. It's a fine liner that's Copic safe. Yeah, that's what I meant. And I'm just filling in all of the parts that didn't stamp the best. And now I'm going on to coloring, which this is fairly coloring heavy because I have so many details. So if you don't like this, I'm sorry. I guess you can just skip ahead somewhere to the end because pretty much all this card is me coloring or stamping. That's just because that's how the card is. Now, if you look up pictures of what this store is supposed to be, there is that like greenish-y, bluish-y green color. So I busted out my favorite green combo, which was G00 and G02. I just really like that. Or actually, nope, I used BG32. And then I think I had G02 somewhere in there. I could be mistaken now. It's been a little while since I made this card. I say a little while. It's been about 4 days maybe. Not super long, but long enough. For all my colors, I actually planned this out using my iPad so that I could not mess anything up, because I just felt like doing all this work, if I had too many of the same colors next to each other, it was going to irritate me. So I did plan these colors beforehand. I will say though, if you do all of one color and then move on to the next color and the next color, you can kind of get a picture of how things are coming together before you get too far along and like realize, oh, I have all this green together, all this brown together. So, I mean, that's a thing. But if you have access to some sort of device that you can take a picture and then color over it, definitely recommend that. That helps me color plan so much better than I was able to do before. I think the jelly beans here were one of my favorite ones to color. I did look up the different Birdie Bots jelly beans, and so some of these are supposed to look like the actual jelly beans they have. I love doing the ones with spots. Now I just want to do a jelly bean card, and that's saying something because I don't even really love jelly beans. I just think they look cool. Now for all my little glass jars, I did want to give them just a tiny bit of color, so I went in with my G00, I believe it was. And I'm just adding a little bit of color here and there, just so that it's not so blank looking. And for my little witch, I'm gonna kind of make her look like my friend, so I gave her dark hair, and I did not like how pointy her hair was, because my friend actually has really curly hair. So I added some little squiggly lines or whatever around the outside, and I colored it very dark because, well, she does have dark hair anyway, but that did cover up the lines more. And then she likes to wear a lot of gray and black, so I decided to go with gray because her hair's so dark. And then I didn't really love the way this looked, so I added a little bit of purple into it, which I'm not sure if that was a good decision or a bad decision, because it does kind of look maybe slightly brownish at that point. At this point, I did what I did. Decisions were made. It was too late to go back. So now I have a Cricut pen in the color Very Berry, and I'm going to add some little lines on both the top and the bottom of my jelly bean packages. And now if you've ever seen these, you'll know exactly why I did this. Now moving on to my sentiment, which was nice to get to this point because this was a lot of work. I am going to remove my mask, and I just picked out some stuff that was already in some stamp sets that I've already used. So I have a, and then I'm going to stamp Sweet Birthday underneath it. And for this one, I decided I was going to heat emboss it so that I could color around it without risking coloring over the words and getting them a weird muddy color, because I'm going to be using pink and green, and that will make brown. So I'm stamping it with Cracked Pistachio Distress Oxide, and then I'm going to heat emboss it using a clear embossing powder. Now this one I think is from Ranger. I think it might be Wow, I don't remember. It's just a clear embossing powder, nothing super special. And then I'm going to mask off the edges a little bit, and then I'm going to color this in with some of my RV markers that I've already used for the rest of this card. Now I have heard that embossing powder can ruin your nibs of your markers. I was very careful to not color over the embossing powder, but at this point I have so many Copics that are going out on me that have dried out because the caps are poor that I don't even really care at this point. I know that sounds terrible, but I'm kind of over them. Once my sign is done, I'm going to add a little bit of white gel pen detail, as well as, I don't remember the exact name of it, it's like some Stardust or something jelly roll, and it has kind of a gold sparkle to it, maybe slightly silver gold, I don't know. And I decided to add a little bit of detail to the chocolate frogs with it, and then I added a little bit of glitter to a couple of the other items, and then I decided I would mask off parts of the card so that I could use my Cracked Pistachio Distress Oxide around the border. I just feel like this made the card complete. Now once I have finished ink blending the border, that is my completed card. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll be back with another video soon. Bye!